All right, let's dive into one of the most intense, high-stakes rituals in the entire Bible, the Day of Atonement from Leviticus 16. My goal here is to walk through this verse by verse and paint a picture so clear you'll feel like you're actually standing there watching it all unfold. So we're going to follow the high priest, Aaron, through this incredible day. We'll start with the deadly warning, then the choosing of the two goats, what happens behind that sacred veil, how they send the sins away, the final cleansing, and finally, how this became a command for all time. Let's get started. Okay, Section 1, a deadly warning. And that subtitle says it all. The stakes are set, and one mistake means death. This whole thing starts not with a party, but with a very serious, chilling reminder. So here we go, verse 1. The scene opens on a really somber note. God is speaking to Moses right after the death of Aaron's two sons. You have to picture this. The memory of that tragedy is still fresh. It's a heavy, powerful backdrop for what's about to happen. Then, in verse 2, God lays down the law for Aaron. Imagine this huge, shimmering curtain, and God basically says, tell your brother Aaron not to just waltz in behind that veil anytime he wants, or he's going to die. Right from the jump, we understand this space is so holy that just stepping into it at the wrong time is lethal. All right, Section 2 is choosing the two goats. So before Aaron can even think about going into that holy place, he's got to get ready. This is all about preparing himself and making a choice that will literally decide the destiny of two animals. Okay, verse 3. Aaron's getting ready to go in. Picture him standing there, not with his fancy robes, but with two animals, a young bull for his own sin and a ram. He has to deal with himself first. Now, verse 4. Visualize Aaron completely immersing himself in water, a full-body cleansing. Then he gets dressed, but not in his usual glorious gear. No, he puts on simple, stark, white linen clothes. He looks less like a high priest and more like a surgeon about to perform a life-or-death operation. Then, in verse 5, the community brings forward two young male goats. Just imagine these two identical animals probably making some noise, totally clueless about the huge symbolic weight they're about to carry. Verse 6 is where Aaron starts the process, and again, it's about him first. Picture him taking that bull he brought for himself and laying his hand firmly on its head. It's this silent, solemn moment of transferring his own human weakness onto the animal. Next, verse 7. He takes those two identical goats and presents them right at the entrance to the main tent. You can just imagine everyone, the entire nation, their eyes are glued to these two animals. And then verse 8. This is it, the moment of choice. Picture Aaron holding two small stones, or lots, in his hands. He's about to cast them and decide the fate of each goat. One goes this way, one goes that way, and their paths will be totally different. And boom, just like that, the choice is made. The lots are cast, their destinies are sealed. One is chosen for the Lord, and the other becomes the famous scapegoat. So in verse 9, we see what happens to the first goat. The one chosen for the Lord is led towards the altar. Its destiny is set. It will be the sacrifice. But then, verse 10 focuses on the other one, the scapegoat. Picture it being tied up to a post, still alive, just watching everything unfold. Its own very strange journey hasn't even started yet. And now, we get to the heart of it all. Section 3, behind the sacred veil. This is the absolute climax of the day. Aaron is about to enter the most sacred place on earth, a room he can only go into once a year. The tension and the danger are at their highest point. So, verse 11. He starts by sacrificing the bull he brought for his own sin. This has to happen first. He can't act for the people until he himself is right. Then, verse 12. Picture the action here. Aaron grabs a special pan, a censer, fills it with red-hot coals from the altar, and in his other hands, he scoops up handfuls of sweet-smelling powdered incense. He's literally juggling fire and fragrant dust. And then, verse 13, he steps behind the veil into this dark, sacred space and immediately throws the incense onto the coals. A thick cloud of sweet smoke just explodes, filling the room. This isn't just for show. It's a smoke screen, a protective barrier so he doesn't see the raw presence of God directly, lest he die. Okay, verse 14. Now he's inside that smoke-filled room. Imagine him moving towards the Ark of the Covenant. He dips his finger in the bull's blood, reaches through that haze, and touches the golden lid of the Ark, the mercy seat, just once on the east side. One single, deliberate crimson mark. And then, standing before the Ark, he sprinkles the blood with his finger 7 times. And that number, 7, is so important. Just picture him flicking his finger 7 times, sending a fine spray of blood into the air in front of the Ark.
In the Bible, 7 is the number of divine completeness, of perfection. So this isn't just a random number. It signifies a total and complete purification of the space.
Now for verse 15, he comes out, sacrifices the people's goat, the one chosen for the Lord, and then he has to do the whole thing all over again. He takes that goat's blood back inside the veil and repeats the exact same sprinkling ritual. And verse 16 gives us this incredible insight. He's doing this to atone for the holy place itself. Think about that. The sanctuary itself needed cleansing from just being in proximity to a sinful people all year. And get this for verse 17. While Aaron is in there doing all this, nobody else is allowed in the entire tabernacle complex. It's completely empty. Just imagine the entire camp outside, silent, holding their breath, while this one man is alone, standing between them and God. So you can see it's this incredibly precise process, right? First, offer the bull for himself, go in with the incense, sprinkle the bull's blood. Then, offer the goat for the people, go in again and sprinkle the goat's blood. He absolutely has to purify himself before he can represent the nation. It's like a two-part spiritual surgery.
Okay, verse 18. Aaron emerges from the tent. He walks over to the big bronze altar out in the courtyard, the main one everyone sees. He mixes the blood from the bull and the goat together and smears it on the 4 horns, the corners of that altar. Then, in verse 19, we see that familiar motion again. He sprinkles the mixed blood on the main altar 7 times, cleansing and reconsecrating the center of the community's worship.
Section 4, sending sins away. So the holy place is cleansed, the relationship with God is restored, but what about the actual sins? Where do they go? This next part gives us one of the most unforgettable visuals in the whole Bible.
All right, verse 20. The holy places are now atoned for. So the live goat, the scapegoat, is brought forward. Just picture it, standing there. Now, verse 21. This is just an incredible moment. Aaron lays both his hands firmly on the goat's head, and out loud, he confesses all the sins, the rebellions, all the wrongdoing of the people of Israel. He's literally, symbolically, loading all of that weight onto this one animal. And then, verse 22. A designated man comes, takes the goat's lead, and walks it away from the camp, out into the wilderness toward the empty horizon. The goat, carrying all their sins, is sent away to a remote land never to be seen again. The sins are physically, visibly gone.
Okay, section 5 is the final cleansing. The sins are gone, the holy place is clean. Now it's time to wash away the residue of this intense day and get back to a sense of normalcy. So in verse 23, Aaron goes back into the tent of meeting. Picture him taking off those special blood-stained white linen garments and just leaving them there in the holy place. They've served their purpose. Then, verse 24, for the second time, he washes his entire body with water. He emerges clean and puts his regular, glorious high priestly robes back on. He's back. Finally, in verse 25, he offers up the last of the burnt offerings. You can just see the fat from the offerings turning to smoke on the altar, a sign that the work is done and it's been accepted.
But the cleanup isn't just for Aaron. Verse 26 tells us the guy who led the scapegoat out into the wilderness, he can't just walk back into camp. He has to wash his clothes and bathe completely first. And the same goes for the person in verses 27 and 28. The remains of the sacrificed animals had to be taken outside the camp and burned up. Well, the man who did that job also had to wash himself and his clothes thoroughly before he could rejoin the community. The principle is clear. Anyone who comes into contact with the sin, even to remove it, has to be cleansed. And finally, section 6, a command for all time. You see, this whole incredible day wasn't just a one-off event. The chapter ends by making it permanent, cementing it into the life of the nation forever. So, verse 29 makes it law. On the 10th day of the 7th month, every single year, everyone is to stop what they're doing, do no work, and afflict their souls, which has always been understood as fasting. And verse 30 tells us why. Because on this day, atonement is made to cleanse you from all your sins. Verse 31 calls it a Sabbath of solemn rest. Picture it. The entire nation, from the most important person to the foreigner living among them, all pausing for a collective spiritual reset.
Verse 32 shows that this isn't just for Aaron. The responsibility is handed down to the next anointed high priest from generation to generation. And verse 33 just pulls the camera back to show us the massive scope of this day. Atonement is made for the holy sanctuary, the tent of meeting, the altar, all the priests, and all the people. It covers everything and everyone. And verse 34 lands the final point. This is an everlasting statute. It's to be done once a year to make atonement for the sins of Israel. It's the spiritual anchor for the entire year. And all of this leaves us with this one massive thought to chew on. How does one day carry the weight of an entire nation? It really makes you think about the immense power of a single, focused ritual to define a community, restore relationships, and give everyone a chance to start fresh.